Right, it's looking a little bit junky back here because I've got a few things that I want to show and talk about in terms of buying and selling online. So if you've seen a few of my other videos, then you will have seen that I pick up things from op shops, things from markets, things from sometimes things from garage sales, but I haven't been doing that lately. And then I sell those things if they're not something that is personally something that I think I'll use or want. Then I can sell those things online and try and make a profit off of that to put into something that I would like to have or to use. And that's how I fund what I do and what I end up with. I haven't really shown a great deal of the things that I have, just the things that I've been picking up. So later on in some other video I'll try and show a little bit more of that. But let's have a talk about selling online in Australia and specifically selling video games online in Australia. 2012 I started selling online and I didn't have any idea of what to do and how I was going to do it, so I took a lot of notes. I would take a list of the things that I picked up, how much I paid for them, how much I sold them for them, and how much money I made after fees, and then if I made any profit on those. Now, not all those things that I sold were profitable, and not everything that you pick up will be able to be sold for a profit. I still pick up things that I end up losing out a little bit on by mistake, but it happens a lot less now than it did because I have done the research. Hopefully you don't hear the fridge, it's just kicked on. Now, a lot of things that you'll see me pick up are disc-based, and that's because they're common. First of all, they're the most common video game item that I find are the ones that are in a DVD-style disc, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And but they're pretty handy things to pick up because you're able to sell them pretty easily. In Australia, we have a few different ways of selling online. One of those ways is Gumtree, which is face-to-face selling. So you either go around to somebody's house, they come to your house, or you meet someone somewhere and you do an exchange for cash. Now there's no fees. There's no fees to put up your ads as long as you do one of the free basic ads. There's no fees when you sell an item. It's simply you go there, you sell your item, you get the cash from the person at that time, and the deal is done. But most of the sales that I make are on eBay. Now, the reason I make more sales on eBay is because you have a much larger audience base on eBay, heaps more eyes on the items that you're trying to sell than you do on Gumtree. Gumtree, it's only going to be your local area, and then a lot of things that I pick up are really specific gaming items that are going to interest only a select few. And so you want as many eyes as you can, so you can make a quick sale, and then you can turn that into cash that you can use relatively quickly. Otherwise, if I put them up on Gumtree, I know that I'm going to get people who want less than they would pay on eBay, and I know that I'm going to have to wait a long time to get people to respond to my ads that are serious about buying, and that's going to be a worthwhile situation. So eBay is the main place that I sell things. Okay, so when I go out and buy items, there's a few things that I do. Over the years, and from keeping records like in the little book that I just mentioned before, and also going through different YouTube videos and things like that, and being able to pick up and sell things, the amount of times that I've done that, I've gained a fair bit of knowledge around how much different games are worth on different systems. But if you did not know, or sometimes something that I use when I am not sure, and especially things like obscure things like DVDs that I don't see very often, things like that, I'll jump onto eBay on the app on my phone. I try not to do that too much in shops because it's not something that I think a lot of shops would be happy with you doing, knowing that you're making a profit from it. I personally don't see any issue in it. That store's making the price that they wanted to make and that they had on the item, and then you're able to make a little bit of profit on there by doing a fair bit of hard work to make that money. So I don't see an issue with it, but some stores might. So I normally, if I'm doing that, I do it discreetly, and I'll figure out how many items are on there. Not how many items, I should say. What's the cheapest item that is on there in the condition that I have seen it, that I have it in the shop at the moment. So if it's a game like this one, this is Deadly Premonition on the Xbox 360, I'd be looking up 360 Deadly Premonition, and then I'd sort that from lowest price, lowest to highest. Now I'd be looking at ones with a manual, and if I found this game, say for $30 for sale, then I know that if I want to sell this game, I'm not going to be able to sell it for more than $30 without waiting a long time to try and sell that item. So if it's selling for $30, I'm looking for a quick sale for say $25 all the way up to $1 off what's the lowest price on there. So $25 to $29. Then you need to factor in your fees. Now eBay fees are about 10% of the overall sale of your item. So it doesn't matter if you put your postage as a separate price when you list your item on eBay. Whatever the total amount that you sold your item for with postage, eBay are going to charge you around 11% of that sale. They're going to ask for that in fees for them. Then if your seller pays by PayPal, they take a little cut as well. So there's a couple of losses there when you sell your item. So already your profit's going down. After that as well, when you buy whatever it is that you want to package your item in, that costs money. And then at the post office, you're going to pay a price as well. Now, hopefully these are the type of tips that I share in here that will really help you out to make sure that you're making some profits and not the losses. Other losses that I haven't mentioned yet are things like your petrol money to get to wherever it is that you're going to look for these things and back, and how much your time is worth to you as well. I enjoy going out and looking at the different secondhand shops and places where I buy these things, and I really enjoy that side of this. So that I don't take into consideration. The petrol money I don't take into consideration either. That's just something that goes along with it. But if you added up the petrol money that it took to get to all these different places and to do all these different things, then that would be a significant cost as well. But as I said, that's where I get and that's part of the enjoyment. So I don't count it when I'm thinking about my overall profits. Okay, so let's have a look at something like this here. So say if you've managed to sell this item for $25. Well, you need to think, okay, there's going to be a little bit more than $2.50 that's going to eBay, and then I'm going to have to pay for my packaging and my postage and a little bit of PayPal, so we're working from there. Now, what I noticed really quickly is that with Australia Post, it's not always made clear the cheapest way that you can get an item from wherever you wanted to post it to wherever it needs to go. It's very dependent on what shop you go to and how much the person behind the store, first of all, how much they know about the different prices of postage, and also how much they're actually how much time they're willing on spending to see if your item will fit through the sizes, the different sizes that they have, or how much they're willing to help you out. In the past, I have had generally good experiences with post offices, Australia Posts, but there have been times when I've gone in and the person behind the counter goes for a top dollar type of postage option rather than really helping out. There's still times when I need to question the person behind the counter about the cost, because I know that they're trying to charge me the wrong cost for the item. So keep that in mind as well. Try and know what it is that you're posting, how much it's going to cost before you go into the shop. So, and I know that I didn't know any of this, and I'm hoping this video will be able to help some people out. So, as I said, I mainly get disc-based items, and that's because they're the easiest to find, number one, but also they're really easy to post. They're really inexpensive to post, and I'll show you a little bit about that now. Now, anything that I get delivered to the house, I keep things like the bubble wrap, and I keep things like bubble mailers, because they come in really handy with posting your own items. Also, something that I make sure I look out for as well is when somebody has posted you an item, sometimes the post office has not stamped the stamps on there to say that they have been used. So if it's the case that they have not done that, if you try to rip those off really quickly, you're going to be out of luck. But if you are patient, and if you spend a bit of time getting those off by working at the corners, and you have to really work at all four corners, and then maybe a bit of glue or things on there, then you can get some postage stamps for basically free, and then you're taking that off of your the loss of how much your item costs to post. So definitely look out for that. Although, yeah, Australia Post probably doesn't like you looking out for that one, but it happens quite often. A game like this, if I have listed it, and you get a number of listings on eBay for free, if I have listed my item and it's sold, let's talk about the next steps. Before I do that, what I also do on my phone is I have the eBay app. I look up the item. There's a little button that says sell one like this. If you scroll down, if you find one that's the same or very similar to yours, find the button that says sell one like this, and then I go through the steps. I used to do it on the computer, and I found that the phone is a lot quicker, even if you're not making as detailed ads. You can get them up quicker and you can get it sold. Normally one listing will take me around 10 minutes, so it's still a bit of a time sink there. Once your item sells, and I always do buy it nows, so say if I'm selling this one and the next highest or the cheapest one out there is $30, then I might go for $28.99. So normally a dollar or so off the cheapest price. Now once my item sells, then I'm ready to post. I'll grab something like my bubble wrap or an old bubble mailer and grab a bit of that padding. It's nothing worse than when you buy an item and it doesn't come in the condition that you have, that it has said in the ad. Something that can happen with these is that any disc-based media, when you post your item, sometimes that disc falls out and then it'll get all scratched up. So grab a bit of that padding that you've been saving, pop it in, fold it up, pop it in there, and when you close your disc, you'll notice that there's no rattle. That is going to make it nice and safe in there. Hello, dog. Then you want to get your whatever you're mailing it in. Now, if you bought one of these at the actual Australia Post shop, then you're going to pay a lot more than is if you sourced that item from a place like eBay already. I'll try and put up a picture of the one that I have bought in the past. But this is just a simple bubble mailer, or they're not actually called, that's more an American term. They're called I normally look up bubble envelope. And this one has the dimensions of 160 millimeters by 230 millimeters. So, much better to buy these yourself, and you'll save a lot of money that way. These bubble mailers are really good because they've got a bit of room to be able to snug your case into, and an Xbox 360 case is the same as a DVD case, and then you just seal that one up and it is ready to go. Now, you can put the stamps on before you get to the Australia Post, or you can get to your Australia Post outlet and then ask them to measure it. Just know that the cheapest option of posting your item, if it is a light item, and you can check up all of these prices online, but basically anything that is DVD size is going to go as a large letter, and that has a set price to anywhere in Australia. So if I was posting this to, I'm in Queensland at the moment, if I was posting this one to Victoria or Western Australia, or if I was posting it to the person next door, or next door to the post office, it's all going to cost the same amount. It is a flat rate. Now, I have a look on the Australia Post website, and I think it is up to 125 grams. So anything below that is going to cost me $2.20. And then if it's going up above 125 grams, then it's going to cost me $3.30. We have little kitchen scales, and I put them on there just before I pop the stamps on, and I normally put the stamps on myself. Otherwise, I know how much it's going to be when I get there. There is a set thickness, and I think that is 2 centimeters that it is allowed to be thick. And these DVD cases with the bubble envelope are still under that size. So that's why they're a good, cheap option to post. Now, when I post with that cost, I don't post with tracking. I don't post with any guarantees of it getting there. I don't post with any insurance. And if something happens to that item, or it's simply if your buyer on the other end says that they never received it, then that's a risk that I've taken, that if that happens, then I've lost my money. Basically, eBay will side with the buyer, and I will have to refund the buyer their money. That has happened very rarely over the years that I've been an eBay seller, but it does happen. So keep that in mind too. If you're selling an item that is of low cost, like this one, something under $30, then it might be a risk that you're willing to take. If you're going to look at doing something like tracking or a signature once it gets there, then you're going to pay an extra price, and it might not even be worth picking up any of this stuff and trying to sell it, because the cost of postage will be too much. All right, so some other things that you can pick up to post at around the same price, which is not very much for your envelope, and then either $2.20 or $3.30 for a simple, cheap postage price, are things like anything on the original Xbox, the Wii, the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, even things, I've got some other examples here as well. Things like, and do I have one? Yes. Things like an NES cartridge, then you're going to be able to put that one in that packet, and you're going to be alright. Now that does fit through their 200mm check when you go to the post office, but there have been times when I've gone to the post office and they will try to say, no, that is too thick. That one's going to be $8.95, around that price. And then I say, could you please check that? And then they'll put it through their little checker and they'll say, oh yeah, it's snug, but it fits. So that's one to keep in mind as well. The NES cartridges do fit, but you need to be careful when you're at the post office, get them to check it, and then if they're not going to give it to you for the lower price, then I suggest going to a different shop, because technically you should be able to sell it, post it for that price. If it comes with a box or anything extra, then you're going to have to pay a bigger price for that. You're talking around $8.95 for anything that's a little bit bigger, then as long as it's light, so something like the an NES game in a box. But to be honest, anyone who's buying that is not going to want to receive that in one of these. You're talking then much bigger packaging, you're talking a bigger loss on your sale, you're going to end up paying a lot on postage, and unless you're selling that game for a lot, then it's not going to be worth doing. Something like this would be worth selling, because I know in Australia this one goes for a bit of money, especially complete like this one. So I would just have to pay the $9 around to get that one posted properly in a big box with lots of padding. Nintendo 64 cartridges are a little bit bigger, and they do not go for a cheap price. So you're looking at around $8.95 or around somewhere around $9 for those. Your Super Nintendo games are the same. They're a little bit thicker than the original Nintendo cartridges. So even though it's not very much, you're still going to end up paying that little bit extra, just because it has it's just a fraction larger, but you are going to end up paying extra at the post office for those. The Nintendo DS games and the 3DS games, as long as they are the slimmer version, then they are alright. You can get some thick ones, and then again you're going to pay the somewhere around $9 to post those ones. So these ones are okay to fit in and go for the cheaper price. Really, what you want to check is anything that is smaller than that DVD case. Anything that is going to be not as thick as that DVD case is going to be fine to go for the cheaper price. So you can pick those games or those movies up, and if you know that they're going to sell for a little bit of money, then you're going to make a better profit being able to sell them at a lower price. Things like this though, I'm talking a big PC box here. Yeah, it's worth selling on eBay still if they go for a good price. Now, something like this, you could possibly take it apart and then fold the cardboard down and post it that way. Or you'd be looking at a big box, and you can use your own or purchase one in store. If you purchase one in store, you're going to pay a premium. But if you can find the boxes and things at home and make sure that you have enough padding, then you are going to be better off in the long run with profits. So unless a big box game is worth a bit of money, if we're talking, I don't know, it depends what you pay for it as well, but unless you're talking $40 or more, then they can be a real pain to deal with as well, even if you get them cheap. Anything that you might buy from the shops or that comes in a box that you might be able to use, worth keeping. Any types of weird padding that comes with anything new that you buy is worth keeping as well. And then you're saving money on and you're not going and buying bubble wrap all the time. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a starting point as to how to sell and make a little bit of a profit on the things that you might find that you might not necessarily want, but others might, and then you can then swap them for things that you do want to have. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a starting point. It's certainly a starting point that I didn't have. So maybe there's somebody out there that might find it useful and end up being able to make a bit of a profit and doing the same things that I am, which is trying to, I guess it's trying to continue a hobby without paying the price to do so. Trying to keep it so that it's a nice cheap hobby where you're not putting a whole heap of money into it. And in my case, it's money that's not taken away from the family. I get to have a bit of fun exploring and finding these things and then flipping them and then putting them into things that we as a family can enjoy. And there's not that guilt side of it that I'm spending hard-earned cash on doing this. It becomes play money really when you're able to spend a little bit of time and make a little bit of profit. So yeah, I hope that helps somebody out there. That would be good.